The AAC Report is brought to you by Blake Blahut of Realty One Group. Whether you're looking to buy your very first home or looking to downsize or upgrade, call Blake Blahut anytime at 407-748-0484. Welcome to the AAC Report only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks for joining me. Coming up, Fletcher Page of the Cincinnati Enquirer will join us to talk about the Bearcats' big encounter with the Ohio State Buckeyes is coming Saturday. He's standing by in the virtual green room and will join us a little bit later on. But first, we will start recapping Week 1 and looking ahead at Week 2 in the American. Houston looked to repeat their 2016 success against Oklahoma to kick off the season, but ran into a buzzsaw with Alabama transfer quarterback Jalen Hurts accounting for 6 touchdowns and over 500 yards of offense as the Sooners rolled to a 49-31 victory. Cougars coach Dana Holgorsen.
Well, it's obviously a challenging opener. We just got back a couple hours ago, so I know I sound a little groggy, but it was just that's a heck of a place now. I mean, I've went up against those guys for a long time, and their product keeps getting better. The atmosphere is fantastic. The coaching stability that they have, especially on the offensive side, is as good as there is in college football. We had a hard time tackling those guys, and offensively we started slow. They had a lot of energy early in the game. Obviously, year one, and for that coordinator, Coach Grinch, game one for 2019, and it appeared like they remembered the 2016 game when Oklahoma came to NRG Stadium and lost to the University of Houston. So those guys were motivated to play, and I was just proud of our guys for the way they settled in and just kept playing. They were ready to play, and things didn't go well early, but they just kept playing for 4 quarters and looked up there in the fourth quarter, and we're down 11 and we're onside kicking. So I was just proud of the way that they hung in there and kept playing.
The Cougs have their home opener this week as they host Prairie View. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff Saturday night from NRG Stadium on ESPN3 in the first meeting for these two. Staying with the Texas flavor, SMU opened up on the road at Arkansas State, getting a hard-fought 37-30 victory. Mustangs coach Sonny Dykes.
It was a good road win for us. I think we went and looked at the week in college football and just on the airplane after the game, I was just going through the scores, looking, and kind of through my own crude calculations, I kind of looked through, and to me, it looked like the road teams were like 50-9, or the home teams were like 50-9 this weekend throughout college football. I think there were 3 road underdogs in all of college football that won, and we were one of them. It's really hard to win on the road, especially early in the season. It's just really difficult. There's just a lot of things that you have to do. That's not the easiest travel place in the world. We had to bus and do some things, and I thought our guys handled it well. We had about a 2.5-hour delay on Friday departing because of some weather issues in Dallas, and so you added it all up, and I thought our players did a really good job of staying focused and not letting any of that bother them. We got off to a bad start in the game. Shane had really done a great job all of fall camp of taking care of the ball, and right out of the chute, we get a ball tipped and it gets intercepted and almost run back for a touchdown. They score on the first offensive play of the game, and I don't think it rattled our players at all. I think we just stayed focused and kept playing, and that was a good thing to see. I think certainly last year, that would have had a big impact on us, and I think we're much more emotionally stable and maybe a little tougher mentally than we have been in the past. And so I thought our guys handled it well, and we played pretty well in the game. We did a really poor job in the red zone of scoring touchdowns. We had a couple of special teams miscues that we got to get straight that really hurt us. But I thought our defense played excellent in the first half. I think we gave up less than 100 yards against a good offensive team and responded well, made enough plays to win the game. As you mentioned, CJ had a big kickoff return for a touchdown that I think was really a crucial play in the game. They had just taken a lead, and we got a little bit of momentum back after that kick return, and so that was obviously a big play. North Texas this week will be really challenging. If you go back and look at the tape last year, I mean, they destroyed us. They were better prepared than we were. They coached them better than we did. They had their team ready to go, and we certainly didn't have ours ready. They played harder than we did. They played more physical than we did. It was just a really bad effort, but you got to give them all the credit in the world for the way they played against us last year. I think their quarterback is Mason Fines, one of the best quarterbacks in college football. I think you just look at his numbers, you look at the success he's had, for a long time. He's just going into his fourth year as a starter. There's not many college quarterbacks that can say that. He's the engine that makes the whole thing go. He's a really good football player, and what even makes him better is the fact that he's such a good, tough kid and just sets the tone for their entire program. So we'll have our hands full Saturday, and certainly need to play better than we did last year.
The home opener for the Ponies against North Texas is a 7 o'clock kickoff in Dallas on ESPN3. SMU holds a 31-16-1 series lead, but as you heard, they were defeated soundly in last year's game. Navy gets off to a good start in 2019 as they rolled over Holy Cross 45-7. Coach Ken Niumatalolo.
We're really excited to get our first win of the season in our opening game. I thought we played well. You always can play better, but I thought we did a lot of things well, so I was really happy with that. We were at home. Last year obviously traveling, to Hawaii is a little different deal. So we felt really good about having our home schedule. Had a good crowd at home. Thought our kids played well. Thought Malcolm Perry, quarterback, played really well. Ran our offense really well. Was excited about the way we played on defense. Thought we played really hard. There's always things you can get better at, and I'm sure Coach Newberry talked about some of the things that we could improve on. But overall, I was pleased with the way we played on defense. Excited to see special teams, a freshman kicker. And I thought Bijan did a really good job kicking the ball, and just excited to see a young freshman kicker kick that well. And so we're happy to get our first win and feel like we played well. And we're looking forward to prepare for this week, and we'll try to do a combination of both to try to recover, try to get ready, for ECU, and those are things you always do in a bye week.
The Midshipmen have a bye this week before their conference opener at home against East Carolina. UConn's focus was all on Wagner when news of the Huskies' move out of the American broke. UConn did get that first win by a tight 24-21 score. Coach Randy Edsall.
Well, anytime you win, it's good, and we had some guys that were out for the game, so we had to do a few things differently offensively, but I thought that Art Tompkins and Kevin Mensah did a really good job of running the football. Thought true freshman Matt Drayton, wide receiver, played well in the game, and overall I thought we did some really good things offensively, but we hurt ourselves with 3 times we're inside the 30-yard line, and we get stopped on downs one time, and we turn it over, and then turn it over twice, once on an interception, once on a fumble. So, if we can eliminate those errors and, continue to get a little bit better, we'll be heading in the right direction where we want to go, offensively. And then I thought defensively, we played, very, very well, and pitching a shutout there in the first half, and only gave up 14 points throughout the game, and that was we had one bad play, a 55-yard run, and then we had in one drive we had like 2 penalties towards the end of the game that hurt us in sustained drives. So again, overall I thought we played well on defense, and then I thought we were very, very solid and sound on special teams. So all in all, it's good to get the win. And now this week we go up against Illinois, who's 1-0, and it's going to be one of those games where we're going to have to play well, and we're not going to be able to make some of the mistakes we made this previous week. And so we were back at it last night and working to get better.
So the Huskies open up their home slate with a visit from Illinois from the Big Ten. That's a Saturday 3:30 kickoff on CBS Sports Network. It's a first-time meeting between UConn and the Illini. Tulane romped to a 42-14 Week 1 win over FIU at home. Green Wave coach Willie Fritz.
They came out and played with a ton of energy against a good Florida International team. We didn't play smart all the time. We had way too many penalties, some busts at critical times as well, but came out of the box hard on offense, rushed for 350, which is outstanding, particularly in your first game. I thought defensively we really played well and through three quarters. And I think they had right around 100 yards after three. Got quite a few yards in the fourth quarter. We're able to play a lot of guys, which was exciting. That first game is always a nervous time because you've been going through all these different situations and scenarios, and now you're doing it out there for real. So glad we got that under our belt, and now we're moving up in weight class, against Auburn. Had a big win over Oregon the other night, and we're going to play great. We're going to have to make that improvement you talk about from week 1 to week 2. We're going to have to make that type of improvement in order to have an opportunity to win that game.
As Coach Fritz said, they step up another level traveling to Auburn, coming off a dramatic come-from-behind win over Oregon at Jerry World. That game is going to be a 7:30 kickoff Saturday night on ESPN2. Tulane actually leads the all-time series with a 17-14-6 record, most which compiled in the distant past. Auburn won the last meeting back in 2006. Temple rolled to an easy win in their home opener, 56-12 over Bucknell. Owls coach Rod Carey.
So it was a good way to kick off the season, that's for sure. As always, when you get in and look at it on film, it's never as good and never as bad from the execution standpoint. So we got a lot of things we got to clean up, we got to get better at. And this bye week will certainly allow us to do that, along with the bumps and bruises that we had coming out of the game. Get a chance for those guys to heal up as well. And obviously, we'll be on the road recruiting for a good portion of the week, and then back at it for game week and doing that. So it'll be good to get out and recruit and do those things as well. So we're looking forward to it. We'll be back on the practice field on Wednesday and then go from there.
Yes, Temple on the bye this week. They will take on Maryland in Week 3, who they destroyed 35-14 on the road last year. Tulsa had a rough start, losing 28-7 at Michigan State. Coach Philip Montgomery.
Yeah, Michigan State, very talented team. Especially defensively, they are very strong up front, did a great job schematically. I think those guys play extremely well together. Thought our defense played extremely well. Did great against the run. Thought very aggressive on the pass part of it. Got to be able to find a way to run the football more effectively. Our defense continue to play the way they're playing, and I think we've got a chance to be a good football team. As we work into next week, San Jose got to travel all the way out there. Be a tough road game. They won their first one. Very talented. We know we got our hands full. Got to go on the road, get a big win, and in a tough place. So I know our guys are excited about getting back on the field, expecting to see a lot of improvement from Week 1 to Week 2, and ready to get back on the field and do it again.
That game at San Jose State is a 9 p.m. kickoff Saturday night on ESPN3. Tulsa leads the series 4-3, winning the last contest back in 2016. East Carolina's first game under new coach Mike Houston didn't go quite as they would have liked, dropping a 34-6 decision to North Carolina State in Raleigh. Here's Coach Houston.
Well, obviously, disappointed not to get the win this weekend there in Raleigh. And, it's a game that, it's our fan bases and both of our rosters, get pretty excited about. A lot of history between the two programs. So the kids are excited to play. Thought we came out and played, started off pretty hot, and really had a great opening drive. And unfortunately, the turnover going into the end zone took away what was a 13-play, 75-yard drive that was exactly the way we wanted to start out on the day. And I do think that maybe took a little bit of wind out of our sails, but we're able to play, very competitively, most of the first half, but just weren't able to get into the end zone. And, obviously as the game went on, a veteran defense there by NC State took advantage of some of the mistakes that we made. And we've got to do a good job of correcting those this week and getting ready for this weekend. So excited to be home, back in Daddy Ficklin Stadium. Be my first game in Daddy Ficklin Stadium as the home coach. So excited for that, and expecting a big crowd. And Coach McRae and his team, played very well against Charlotte last Thursday night. They've had a few extra days of preparation. And so I would expect them to be excited to play this Saturday, and it should be a great matchup.
East Carolina playing host to Gardner-Webb at 6 p.m. on ESPN3 Saturday. It's the first meeting between those two teams. South Florida was humiliated at Raymond James Stadium, getting shut out by the Wisconsin Badgers 49-0. Bulls coach Charlie Strong.
Well, a very embarrassing loss against Wisconsin. Didn't play our best football, and when you play a really outstanding team like that, you got to be at your very best, and we weren't at our very best, from all three phases, offense, defense, and the kicking game. And even as a coach, we didn't do a great job of preparing our guys for what was to come. And we go on the road this week, go to Georgia Tech. They coming off a loss to Clemson, but it was our first road game, and we know anytime you're on the road, you got to play well. And Georgia Tech's an outstanding team, and so we need to go in with some confidence, with the right mindset, and go play well.
The South Florida Georgia Tech game Saturday at 2 p.m. will be on the ACC network. Memphis scored one of the big out-of-conference wins from the weekend, downing Ole Miss 15-10 in a hard-fought game at home. Tigers coach Mike Norvell.
Hey, I was very excited about the 1-0 start. It was a great atmosphere. It was a fun game to be a part of. It was a physical game, which I thought our guys did an exceptional job with their effort and their aggressiveness throughout the game. I thought it was a game that we dominated the line of scrimmage really on both sides, being able to stop the run, and then we did a great job of being able to run the football, and you control the time of possession. I think we had 38 minutes of time of possession in the game, and so really we're in control of the game throughout. There's some things that showed up in the first game that we have to get cleaned up. We had 10 penalties, 7 of those are on the offensive side, and 1 in the return game that were critical, that kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit. But I was really excited about how our guys played throughout the game, and we were aggressive defensively. I thought those guys played at a very high level. Credit to the plan that Adam Fuller, our defensive coordinator, and the defensive staff put together. I thought in special teams we were able to flip the field with our punt team. Adam Williams played at a very high level. And then on punt return, we showed some great things with Pop Williams having a couple nice returns. One of those being negated with the penalty, like I mentioned. But it was a great atmosphere. It was a wonderful win for our city against a regional rival, and now the challenge comes to go and continue to improve, continue to work and focus on the things that we can control, and how we develop and what we put on the field here this Saturday. So you're excited about being back at home, and we got a big week of preparation coming up.
Good job by the Tigers getting a win over an SEC team. They will host Southern this Saturday at noon. No TV for this game on broadcast or streaming, although I presume this is a pay-per-view opportunity in the Memphis area for the first meeting ever between these two schools. Our UCF Knights rolled to a 62-0 shutout of Florida A&M. Coach Josh Heupel.
Yeah, obviously really pleased with a lot of the things that we did the other night against FAMU. Our kids were excited to get out in front of our home crowd and go play after 8 months of lead up and work put into getting our season started. So proud of what they did. Obviously, you come back and you need to continue to grow as you go through your schedule here. There's a lot of things that we can do to improve, but was really pleased with their effort and their energy all night long. Excited about the opportunity to go play inside of our state here down South Florida, and obviously we got a big fan base down there, so excited to travel down there and them have the ability to see us live and in person. There's some things that are outside of our control this week with the hurricane. We'll continue to find out how that impacts us as we go through this week here. But as of right now, it's just kind of a normal week for us as we get prepared to go play on Saturday.
As of the moment, the game's still scheduled for Saturday night in Del Boca Vista on CBS Sports Network at 7 p.m. Yes, I know it's Boca Raton, but I couldn't refuse, turn down the Seinfeld reference, right? The Knights lead the series 2-0 with a 20-point win at Spectrum Stadium last season. My nickel's worth on the Knights because 2 cents is not enough. They did what an elite team is supposed to do against a mid-level FCS team. A big blowout, shutout victory. That is exactly how it should have gone, and it's good to see that the Knights took care of that mission in that fashion. I hate seeing it for FCS schools to get pounded like that, but they are here for the payday and the experience, and the Knights did what they needed to do. The quarterback battle, well, you can certainly say. I think it's in the win column for Dylan Gabriel, but Brandon Wimbush played well, and he certainly demonstrated he is a tremendous weapon running the football. His accuracy was still a little off, which is what everybody's been questioning. Gabriel looked very sharp and the moment did not look too big for him. And Kadri Jones, he plays so well. Now, I feel so badly for him because he's a very talented football player and a talented quarterback, and it's just a situation where the quarterback room at UCF is just so deep and so skilled. And I think the other impressive piece of dropping 62 on the Rattlers was it was a vanilla offense. They certainly did not roll out anything of deep from the playbook as far as that was concerned. So, just running a base offense and putting up 62, just what the doctor ordered. And defense, it was nice to see them to get the shutout. A shame to lose Bam Moore for the season with the knee injury. I think Heupel owned up to, maybe he shouldn't have been in the game at that time. They were going on a play count, and it's just one of those unfortunate things that happened. And that's going to be a tough loss in the secondary for the Knights. But again, we have seen that there's a lot of talent on this football team, and we'll certainly see how they progress from there. Coming up, we'll talk about Cincinnati's win over UCLA and their upcoming game at Ohio State when the AAC Report continues in just a moment. Are you tired of the endless money pit of paying rent? Do you have a home you need to sell for top dollar? Talk to the Hometown Advantage award-winning real estate professional and fellow UCF Knight, Blake Blahut of Realty One Group. Blake has proven to produce results and a smooth process for his clients all across Central Florida. Whether you're looking to buy your very first home or looking to downsize or upgrade, talk to Blake Blahut. Visit him at his website, Blake'sOrlandoHomes.com, or contact him anytime at 407-748-0484. Again, Blake'sOrlandoHomes.com and 407-748-0484. Get the hometown advantage by working with Blake. Cincinnati rolled to a 24-14 victory over UCLA at home as they downed the Bruins for the second straight season. Here's Bearcats coach Luke Fickell.
Oh, well, it was obviously a great win. Any win's a great win, but most importantly, the atmosphere here and our student section and our community did a phenomenal job. So it was an exciting night, beautiful. Wasn't the cleanest thing in the world. We didn't play, exceptionally great in a lot of areas, turning the ball over and some penalties, but all in all, we found a way to win. had some ups and downs, a lot of momentum shifts. But I thought our guys showed some maturity and continued to battle, and in the long run and at the end, pulled it out.
And Coach Fickell talks about the upcoming matchup with the Buckeyes.
Oh, we got our hands full. I mean, I think the thing that you saw from them on Saturday, obviously it was over before it started in a lot of ways, but I think they were pretty vanilla in a lot of things defensively. They didn't have to do a bunch of things. Offensively, I don't know that that they had to throw a lot of things at them, but you saw them be very efficient, very explosive. Obviously, in 21-0, I think in 3 or 4 minutes. So I think that you're always curious with some new parts and new staff and new quarterback that what will the efficiency kind of, how will it run and how will it roll. And as you saw, some people struggle this past weekend. Maybe Nebraska or Iowa State with some people that maybe they, in theory, could think they would handle. They didn't have any issues. They continued to motor and move and create a lot of momentum, and I think that's going to be a real challenge for us.
Joining us now to talk about the big game in the American this week, Cincinnati venturing over to Columbus to take on Ohio State. Fletcher Page of the Cincinnati Enquirer. He covers the beat for the Bearcats, and he joins us now to talk about that. Fletcher, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
So let's first rewind back to this past Thursday with the Bearcats beating UCLA 24-14. What was the atmosphere like there at Nippert Stadium for this encounter where the Bearcats took down the Bruins for the second year in a row?
Yeah, I think it was a near sellout. I think it was an announced of a little more than 38,000. The capacity is 40,000 at Nippert Stadium. It was the most overwhelming 10-point victory I think I've ever covered. Cincinnati really had UCLA handled. Had 2 turnovers, though, in scoring position that kind of kept the game close. But I think if you're Luke Fickell, and it seemed like he indicated this, it was the kind of opening game I think that you'd want to have rolling into Ohio State. You got the win. You looked pretty good in some areas, but there were some obvious areas for improvement as well, and they learned some lessons, I think, while still getting a victory.
And so as they go into Ohio State, the Bearcats have a lot of high expectations for 2019 coming off a great 2018. What are their chances taking on the Buckeyes?
Well, there's a lot going on here, obviously. This is Luke Fickell's return. He played at Ohio State, coached there for nearly 2 decades. He spent time as the interim coach at one point. He's a beloved figure all around the state of Ohio. So you've got that kind of rolling, and the emotions, I'm sure, that will be attached to that. But this is a roster that is, for Cincinnati, is comprised of nearly 40 players from the state of Ohio, almost all of which probably did not receive much recruiting attention from Ohio State. There's always sort of that chip on the shoulder in these kinds of games. And then this is a noon kickoff as well. You add all that up, and there's going to be a lot of emotion, and I'm sure a lot of people sort of justifying their reasons for believing that UC can stay in this game and potentially even win it. On the other side, Ohio State, they've got a new head coach in Ryan Day, sort of a little bit different offense with transfer quarterback Justin Fields. And I think they did a good job last week of not showing very much against Florida Atlantic. They got such a great start. They kept things very vanilla on offense. And obviously, they're going to have a lot of talent on defense. So I think there's a little bit of concern for UC there that they showed a little bit more against UCLA than Ohio State did. But I think it's an intriguing Week 2 matchup for sure, and one that I would imagine Ohio State fans feel confident about. But I think maybe in the back of their mind they probably think, why did we schedule this game?
So Coach Fickell, I saw in his teleconference yesterday, was very guarded about, having, to address emotion going into the game this Saturday. And would you say the team does a good job of following his lead?
Yes, and I've only been covering this team now for a couple months, but Coach has done a great job of establishing a pretty healthy culture, and I think I don't know how much you followed his beef with Jim Harbaugh in Michigan, over the transfer of James Hudson and immediate eligibility. But part of me thinks that the reason why Luke Fickell was so outspoken during all of that is A, he wanted his potential starting left tackle to be eligible, but he really does go to bat for these kids, and I think that was part of why he was so adamant to do it publicly, is that he wanted to show that he had James Hudson's back, and that's reciprocated. So this is year 3 for him. They've done a great job of recruiting the state of Ohio, and specifically recruiting Cincinnati and Dayton and areas that are local. That's something that Tommy Tuberville did not do a very good job of before. And it really does feel like this is our town, our state kind of feel. And, I think Luke Fickell's really captured the imagination of the fan base after, they really suffered there at the tail end of Tommy Tuberville.
Well, you mentioned all the great storylines that go along with this contest. How do you think this game plays out?
Well, I really think that the key for Cincinnati is how the offensive line holds up. They've got 2 redshirt freshmen starting on the left side, specifically the 6'9", 330-pound German Lorenz Metz at left tackle. He had a couple false start penalties against UCLA, and like I said, you've got 2, and Jeremy Cooper at left guard. You've got 2 guys that they appeared in 3 games last year, but they're getting their first taste, and I don't think that they're going to see the type of talent and the depth that again this season that they're going to see on Saturday against Ohio State. So. UC likes to run the ball with Mike Warren and Jared Dokes. Will they be able to get the run established? Will the offensive line be able to hold its own? I think that's a major concern and question mark. And then conversely, maybe it sounds boring, but I'll take the same story on the defense in the trenches with the defensive line. That was probably the biggest surprise against UCLA, was they really didn't have to blitz that much. They didn't have to get that creative to create pressure. Because the defensive line, the front 3 or 4 guys, really just dominated UCLA, shut down the run. Can they do that against Justin Fields and Ohio State again? That's a huge question mark that I think I know the answer. I think the Buckeyes should have their way. But if the Bearcats are able to do some things down at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, I think they could keep it close.
And how important will it be for them to get off to a quick start in that atmosphere, raucous crowd in Columbus?
Yeah, well, this year's identity is being able to run the ball, being physical. Luke Fickell, in one of those training camp scrimmages in August, he actually made the offense stop running the ball and made them throw the ball, because that was their biggest weakness. They needed to push the ball down the field. And in the first half against UCLA, Desmond Ritter, he got off to a quick start. I think he was 12 or 14 at one point, especially on 3rd down. He was 4 or 5 and had made 4 first downs through completion. So they've shown some ability to be balanced on offense. So if they did get down by a touchdown or 2, and they did have to shift and maybe start going a little bit more up-tempo and passing more, they could do it. And I certainly think that if Ohio State gets maybe a 2-possession lead, that obviously would limit what UC's identity really is, which is pounding the ball with Mike Warren. And that's what really came to life in the second half against UCLA. They started giving him the ball, and he sort of stretched that thing out. So a quick start obviously allows the Bearcats to sort of continue to do what they want to do, which is run the ball.
Well, it will be interesting to see how it all works out this coming Saturday. Fletcher Page of the Cincinnati Enquirer, we thank you so much for taking the time to give us a breakdown of the game.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Cincinnati at Ohio State, noon kickoff on ABC. The Buckeyes lead the all-time series 14-2, winning the last meeting back in 2014 by a 50-28 score. The weekly football honors announced. The offensive player of the week is Justin McMillan of Tulane, the quarterback of the Green Wave, threw for 199 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was 14 of 8. He also rushed for 51 yards and a TD in their victory over FIU. The defensive player of the week, Bryce Huff of Memphis, the senior defensive end, 5 tackles, including 2 for a loss and a sack that produced a key safety in the Tigers' win over Ole Miss. And the special players team of the week, the special teams player of the week, easy for me to say, is C.J. Sanders from SMU. A 98-yard kickoff return right after the Red Wolves of Arkansas State had taken a 23-16 lead in the third quarter, and he got the equalizer with that big kickoff return. We have some other honors from the other football. Women's soccer, the offense player of the week last week was Jewel Boland of SMU, helping them to a 9-0 win over Texas Southern, 2 goals on 5 shots, and added an assist. And then on Sunday, she led the Mustang offense with 5 of the team's 16 shots, one of them being on goal. The defensive player of the week, Stasha Mallon of Memphis, collected her first goal of the season, a direct score off a corner kick at number 18 Kansas to open the week. She then anchored a back line that pitched its second clean sheet of the season with a 1-0 win at Omaha on Sunday. And the goalkeeper of the week is Elizabeth Moberg from Memphis, as she got her first full shutout in that Sunday Omaha victory. Well, that does it for this edition of the AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Stay safe and hope we provide you some good entertainment while you're waiting out. We wait for Dorian to get the heck out of here. Stay safe, my friends.